Recently, I posted a video on my YouTube channel about deck building in Ashes, and it was meant to be an introduction to deck building, a foundation for new players who are new to Ashes or new to card games or both, to give you some fundamental deck building skills. And it has gone over incredibly well. The support for the video has been amazing, and I'm super thankful to everyone who liked, subscribed, and shared, especially Team Covenant for the shout out, and even Plaid Hat Games themselves. Super awesome. The reception for that video has been amazing, and I am very thankful for it. As a follow up to that video, I wanted to make a video series where I actually build decks on camera and I kind of walk through the deck building process as I'm doing it. So, going through the outline that I posted in the previous video. And as I was thinking about that, one thing that I feel like is sort of missing from Ashes right now is some really good constructed starter lists. Now we have pre-constructed decks. You just buy an Ashes deck or expansion and open it up and play it immediately. But the pre-constructed decks can range from okay to really not good at all. They're not really designed to be decks that are competitively viable at all. We also have the reconstructed series that Shining Aqua did, and those decks are really cool. They do expand upon the pre-constructed decks in some really cool ways and flesh those out. However, the reconstructed decks operate under some constrictions that can leave a lot of gaps in the deck building and leave a lot of the same weaknesses that the precons have. So I'm setting out to make a constructed, viable starter deck for each Phoenix born in the game. And the only real restrictions that I'm placing on myself with these are one, it needs to be a deck that is easy to learn, that teaches the core mechanics of the game really well, and it doesn't have a lot of complexity to the deck. It's just really straightforward and good teaching deck. The second restriction is I'm keeping these decks to only 2 colors. I think it'll help with not having as many dice powers to kind of juggle in your head as you're learning the game, and help keep the deck a lot more focused and have less first 5 options. Really, these decks are being made to be easily accessible, easy to learn, easy to play, but still competitively viable and full-on constructed decks with very few restrictions on them. So with that out of the way, this first episode I'm going to do, I made a Brennen burn list. So this is kind of a classic Brennen deck that's focused on killing opponents with direct damage. And I'm going to walk through the deck building process with you here. And then after the deck building process is over, I've already recorded a game against Apple Sith on the Ashes Discord for First Five Fridays, and we played a really cool game together. So you'll be able to see the deck in action after this is over. So stay tuned for that. Got timestamps in the description, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to start the deck building process. So step 1 of the deck building outline is to pick your starting point. Now, we already know our starting point for this deck. We want to make a Brennen burn list. So we're kind of doing a mix of both the starting points. We're picking an archetype, which is burn. So we want to be able to kill our opponent primarily through direct damage. So that means we need a lot of direct damage spells. Now, since we picked an archetype as our starting point, we have a lot of direction already. We know that we're going to want abilities and cards that deal direct damage. So cards like Fire Archer and Final Cry and maybe Frostbite or other cards like that. Those all come to mind immediately when I think of direct damage, when I think of burn lists. That's kind of the benefit of starting with an archetype, is you have all these cards kind of in mind already. You know what direction you can take the deck list in. Now we're also doing a bit of a theme deck because we want to build around Brennen. So we're pulling both of these kind of starting points together here. So we're going to go ahead and pick Brennen as our Phoenix Born in Ashes.live. And we're going to continue with deck building with this kind of starting point in mind. All right, step 2 is to identify our win condition. Now, like I said in the deck building video, a lot of times your win condition will be necessitated by the starting point that you pick. And so for us, our win condition is to kill our opponent with burn damage. So we already know what we're building around. We already know what our win con needs to be. So that'll give us a lot of ideas about what cards to include or not include. And we're going to keep that win condition in mind throughout the deck building process. Okay, so we've picked a starting point. We've got our win condition. Now we're on to step 3, which is to put together our skeleton. So first things first, we're going to go to the card list, and we have to kind of decide here what kind of colors we want to put in our deck. And we already know, because of Brennen's ability here, that it uses ceremonial. We're going to be including ceremonial cards. So I'm going to filter by ceremony. A number of different ways that you can go with a Brennen burn list. You could include nature to get access to Frostbite, which is a really good kind of win condition card. It can deal damage to units on the board, which is great for fighting for the board and creating openings for swinging. And it's also good for dealing direct damage to the Phoenixborn. And eventually, when you focus it, it doesn't even take nature. So this is a really good card that we could splash. And I thought about doing this for this list. However, I wanted to include a different card that's really good with Brennen, Salamander Monk. So the cool thing about Salamander Monk is it's a really cheap unit. It costs 1 sympathy. And when you summon it, you get this guy. And it's just a 1/1. And when it's destroyed, you put this on the battlefield. So you get 2 bodies with 1 die. And that's really, really good for Brennen, because Brennen is going to be destroying units to deal damage to Phoenixborn. So it means you can get a lot of value out of this 1 sympathy die here. You get a 1/1 that can attack or block. And then once it has attacked or blocked and it's exhausted, you can kill it to deal 2 damage, and then get another 1/1 that can attack. And, once this unit dies, maybe you final cry it or whatever you would like to do with that. So, again, there was a couple different ways I could go, but again, one of my restrictions I was placing on myself was I only want to build 2-color decks to keep things simple. So I had to choose between nature for Frostbite and sympathy, and I decided to go with sympathy. So I'm going to filter by ceremony and sympathy. I like to start building with allies and ready spells, because that's where all of your units are coming from for the most part. So first things first, we know we want Salamander Monk in here. So let's go ahead and grab that Salamander Monk, because that's why we picked this color for the most part. So we're putting Salamander Monk in here for sure. Next up, we need to think about our win condition here. So we're putting together our skeleton. What are the core cards that we have to include in here that are key to our win condition? I think Salamander Monk's one of them. It lets us use Brennen's ability really efficiently. One of the best units to include in a burn deck, in any burn deck, is Fire Archer. So Fire Archer is a 1/1/1, comes in, deals 1 damage to the target Phoenixborn when you play it. You can pull it back with ceremonial and keep recycling them over and over again. So Fire Archer is going to lead to a lot of damage over the course of the game. So we definitely want 3 Fire Archer in here for sure. Another key card, and I know I said we were going to do allies, but we're kind of picking our build around cards here. Another card that we definitely want to build around in this deck is Final Cry. Because we're looking to deal burn damage. This is another spell that just deals damage straight to the Phoenixborn. And then lastly, before we get back to units, one more kind of build around burn card is Chant of Revenge. So Chant of Revenge, when an ally that you control is destroyed, you put a token on the spell, and then you can remove the token to deal 1 damage to the Phoenixborn. So I think right here, and I'll move my face so you can actually see here. Right here, we have sort of the skeleton of this deck. We're summoning Fire Archers and Salamander Monks. We're using Brennen's ability to deal damage when we kill those. We're using Final Cry to deal damage when they die, and then we're using Chant of Revenge to deal damage when they die. So right here we have the core of a lot of burn damage that this deck is going to have access to. This is going to be sort of the skeleton that we build around these cards. Okay, the next step is to flesh out our skeleton. So we've got the core idea, but what else do we do here? And this is where you can kind of get creative and make the deck your own. When I was making the deck, I thought, well, Brennen only has a 3 spell board, so we're using 2 of our spell board slots already. What's a really good ready spell that we can include here? Preferably one that summons units. And so as I was looking through the list here, the one that stood out the most to me was Summon Fallen. We've already got a lot of ally synergy right here. We've got Chant Revenge. When an ally that we control is destroyed, we get a token. And we've got Fire Archer, an ally that we want to be summoning often. So Fallen seemed like a really good direction to go. When allies die, we get to summon Fallen, and we're already in ceremony, so it makes a lot of sense. The problem with Fallen is that we only have a battlefield of 5, which means we're going to have to be very vigilant about making sure our units die. So, with that said, we need to include some ways to clear our exhausted units, besides Brennan's ability. Ways to clear our exhausted units to make way for more units. So, let's consider one of the best ways to get rid of a unit and get some value out of it, blood chains. So we're going to put 3 blood chains in the list here. And again, since we're still kind of fleshing the deck out, we want to try and include a lot of 3 of cards that we want to see often. These are the cards we want to see pretty much every game. So blood chains is a really good sort of soft removal spell. We destroy a unit that we control to put an exhaustion token on a unit. And if that unit had damage on it, then we get 2 exhaustion tokens. This is really good for, it clears up one of our battlefield slots and clogs one of our opponent's battlefield slots and makes it to where we can swing past a unit. So Blood Chains is doing a lot in this list already. It's doing so much. It clears our units, it gives us those counters whenever the unit dies, and it clears a blocker for us so that we can get through and deal more damage. So Blood Chains is a must here. Okay, so since we have units dying all the time, I think that another card that we can consider here in this list, we can look at our reactions here. We've already got 3 Final Cry, but another one that we can include is Summon Sleeping Widows. And I really like having Summon Sleeping Widows in a deck like this because even though it's not burn damage, it represents a lot of damage that your opponent can't really anticipate or may have trouble anticipating. We're going to be running a lot of ceremony dice already, so they probably won't be able to tell just by looking at our dice whether or not we're saving up for Sleeping Widows. So this could be a nasty surprise. We could use Brennan's ability to kill a Salamander Monk, deal 2 damage, and then react with Sleeping Widows and get two 2/1s on the field to deal damage. So I think Summon Sleeping Widows is another good card here. Here, let me make this a little bit smaller. And actually, I'll put myself over here on this side. Okay, so this is a lot of reactions. We probably don't want any more reactions because you can only play 1 reaction spell per turn. One card that's not going to end up in the final list, but I think would be really good in something like this is Crescendo. Because you deal 1 damage to a target unit you control, to deal 3 damage to another target unit. And that way you can, again, clear, it does kind of a similar thing as Blood Chains. You clear one of your exhausted units to get rid of an opponent's blocking unit. I think Crescendo is fantastic. However, we're already really deep into reaction spells, and you're going to have too many reactions and you won't be able to play them all in the same turn. So we have to be careful with that. Okay, so we've sort of fleshed out the deck a little bit. What we definitely need is more allies because we have the Summon Fallen and the Chant of Revenge. We have this ally synergy going on, but we don't have enough allies to play. So let's look at more units. We need some allies in here. Considering how heavy into ceremonial we are and kind of the strategy that we've got going on here, one ally that is really strong in this kind of list is Rising Horde. So Rising Horde, it's a 1/1, it costs 2 ceremony dice, but when it's destroyed, you get 2 Fallen on the field, so 2 1/1s. And again, we're kind of already doing the Fallen thing, but Rising Horde is really cool because it lets you, it gives you another unit that does something when it dies, and we're going to be killing our own units pretty often, so having a unit that does stuff when it dies is really good. So we're going to put 3 of those in there. Another unit that's really quite good if you're running a lot of ceremony is Crimson Bomber. We're gonna go ahead and put two. We don't need three. We're gonna put two in. Now, what Crimson Bomber does in this list is, for one, it's an ally that's gonna die. We can destroy it to put one wound token on up to 3 target units. This card is doing a lot of things. First off, it's an ally that's dying, so we get our triggers here. Chant of Revenge and Summon Fallen. It is an AoE spell, which is great, and it gets around armor because it places wounds instead of dealing damage. So in a sort of mirror match where we're both kind of trying to summon a bunch of weenies and like attack each other with little units, Crimson Bomber can clear the field for us to be able to attack, which is really great. And then even if it doesn't do either of those things, like if it's not being sacrificed for anything and doing AoE, it's still a 3 attack 2 life unit, so it's difficult to easily kill. Some Phoenixborn can deal with it more easily than others, but it's a really aggressive unit, and so I want to include this in the deck as well. But we're not going to put 3 of them in because we don't need that many, and we're already there's a lot of cards in here that cost 2 ceremony, between Sleeping Widows, Rising Horde, and this. So I'm just going to put 2 in. It's kind of a card we want to see every once in a while, but not all the time. Okay, I still don't think we have enough allies. Now, one thing I mentioned in the video, in the deck building video, is that when you're new and you're building decks, you should always put 3 of the Phoenixborn's signature ability or signature card in the deck. I'm not going to put 3 Black Cloud Ninja in the deck, just because it's kind of a niche card. You're not going to be using it all the time. In some matchups, it might be really strong if you're going up against like Mayoni, or something that has like a really strong conjuration ready spell that they want to use right off the bat. Black Cloud Ninja can lock that down, but we don't want to use this ally all the time. It's not really great outside of certain situations, but it would be good to have one as a first 5 option in certain matchups. So we're going to include one of the signature card here. So anytime we include one of a card, you're usually looking at this as a flex pick for your first 5. Okay, so we're about done. Like if you look right here, we've got 25 cards in our deck already. So right now, we're approaching the point in the deck building process where we need to start thinking about any meta or tech considerations. Okay, so that's the next step in the process. So let's think about this. One card that may not be useful in every matchup, but in some matchups will be very good, is Fester. In some matchups, Fester is going to be mostly dead. There's going to be some really, really aggressive go wide lists where Fester doesn't do a whole lot for you. But in some lists where they're building one big unit, Fester can come really, really in handy. So we're going to include 2 Fester, just because we don't have a ton of removal spells already. We have Blood Chains, which is kind of removal, and Fester, and that's pretty much it. The rest of the deck there's no removable. So Fester is a good inclusion here. Another thing is, if we look at our list here, we don't have a lot of very resilient units. So we have, a bunch of stuff that goes wide. We have stuff that dies easily, stuff that we're going to sacrifice. But we don't have a lot of really resilient units that can stick on the board and help defend us and help clear out blockers. So let's look at potentially including a 3-cost ally in here. So when I was looking through the lists, I was thinking about what kind of 3-cost ally do we want to include. There's not a lot of options in this color combination. In fact, the only 2 3-cost allies that we have are Beast Mage, which is not really something we're looking to do because we're not going to try and deal most of our damage through swinging. And this card is only good every other turn. Instead, I was going to put in 2 Master Vampire. So Master Vampire is really interesting for this deck because we have 18 life, which is higher than average, but not super high. But in a burn mirror, we want to go faster than our opponent. We want to be dealing more damage to them than they deal to us every turn, so we accelerate that win condition. And Master Vampire is really good for this because we get life drain when we kill a unit. So we're using Master Vampire to clear out blockers, we're healing ourselves, and we're winning that damage race. Plus, it has Stalk, which is really good if they have unit guards and they're trying to protect big threats. Master Vampire can just swing right past those unit guards and kill those big threats before they get out of control. Okay, so we have one slot left, and there's one card that's kind of interesting that I want to include in this list. Expand Energy. Expand Energy is a really fun card here because if you look at our list, a lot of these cards are really cheap, especially in our first 5. If you look at what our first 5 is going to be, we're going to have Chant of Revenge, Summon Fallen, Salamander Monk. We definitely want our 3 ready spells in there. And between these 3, we may not even summon Fallen the first turn. So we're looking at 2 dice here. 1 die for a Brennen ability, that's 3. Maybe a Fire Archer, that's 4. And possibly a Summon Sleeping Widows in our opening hand, that's 6. So we only got 6 dice here that we can spend. Now we can use a Sympathy die to draw a card if we want to spend some of those extra dice. That's one method of spending more dice in our first 5. We can also discard an ally in our first round. Before we do our first round of play, we can discard an ally and draw up to 5. And then we can use the Ceremony die to pull an ally back for 1 health. So we're trading a die, and 1 health to have more cards to play. But what Expand Energy does is in a matchup where you're not sure what your 5th card in your first 5 should be, Expand Energy lets you turn a die into cards to play. So you play out your whole hand, and then you play this card at the end when you have like 4-ish dice left, and you'll draw 2 cards that you can hopefully play. Now, what I like about this is we have a couple of ready spells that we want to be focused as soon as we possibly can. So using Expand Energy to draw into some of these is good, or if we can draw into more aggression, that's good as well. Okay, so now we need to pick our dice spread before we move on any further. With this, we know we want 1, 2, 3, 4 with Brennen, probably 5, 6. We want 6 Ceremony for our first 5 for sure. I think that's gonna be our standard first 5 is Chant of Revenge, Summon Fallen, Salamander Monk, Fire Archer, Summoning Sleeping Widows. That's gonna be like our go-to. And between those, if we use all of them, we want 6 Ceremony dice. Now, since we're only doing 2 colors, that makes the rest of our dice choice pretty easy for Sympathy. Now we just kind of look and make sure that this is a good dice spread for this. So in any given turn, we will be playing maybe a Sleeping Widows, a Rising Horde, and maybe if we played Crimson Bomber, Rising Horde, Sleeping Widows, that's 3 of our cards, and that's 6 Ceremony dice. And the only card on our spell board we wouldn't be able to play in that scenario is Summon Fallen, which we may not be able to anyway. So 6 feels like a pretty safe number for Ceremony, and since we're only in 2 colors, that means this is probably going to be a good number for Sympathy. Let's just check. We've got Salamander Monk that we'll use once a round. We have Master Vampire that we'll use occasionally. And, oh, look, that is actually it for Sympathy. So what that means is we can actually even go deeper into Ceremony if we want. 4 might be a little bit too much Sympathy. So let's go ahead and drop one of these and put 1 Sympathy in, or 1 Ceremony in. So 7 Ceremony, 3 Sympathy. That seems like a really good spread. We can use 1 Sympathy for Salamander Monk, 1 for a Master Vampire, and then that turn we can use the 3rd Sympathy for drawing if we want to. That leaves a 1 die as a flex slot to like draw into a new card if we want. So I really like this dice spread. Okay, the last step of the deck building process that we're going to cover here is to ask questions. So looking at this list, I I've already kind of gone through and made this list before now, so I kind of were already asking those questions. But here's the things that we want to keep an eye out for. Do we have enough removal? We have 3 blood chains for single targets to clear blockers, and we have Fester, 2 Fester. I think that's plenty single target removal, especially since we're primarily wanting to like deal all of our damage through direct damage and through swinging with wide boards. I think this is more than enough for single targets. We also have 2 Crimson Bomber as a kind of an AoE damage spell, so like a pseudo AoE damage. So I think for removal, we're pretty well covered. Do we have enough units? I think we do. We have plenty of units. Honestly, when the allies start dying and we get these Summon Fallens going, and we've got Salamander Monk, like a lot of these units create units when they die, and then Sleeping Widows as well. So if anything, we have too many units. But I think this is a good place to start. With Brennen's battlefield of 5, it might end up being a liability to have this many cards that create multiple units, but we'll see. Do all the cards in our deck support our win condition? I think so. We've done a pretty good job of making sure that that's the case. Is there anything that we may not play very often or much at all that maybe we could swap out for a better card? Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Expand Energy is definitely a card that's, you're not going to use all the time. You may not use it very much at all. You could drop an Expand Energy for some other card, maybe a different flex card or something to reinforce our win condition. Maybe a Sympathy Pain. It's another reaction, but it would be a card that can deal damage to our opponent. As far as our win con goes, I think we're really well set up here. We have Brennen that deals 2 damage. We have Chance of Revenge. We have Fire Archers. We have Final Cries. And then we've got a bunch of units to swing with. So I think when it comes to our win condition, I think we're pretty well set. Okay, the last deck building process step that we're going to go through is to test the deck. So coming up in just a second, we'll have a little bit of gameplay footage with this deck, and you'll see how it works. I'm piloting it against another starter deck, actually, that I made, so you'll get a sneak preview of the next deck build that we're going to do. So stay tuned for the gameplay video. Yeah, I think I'm going to try this out. Man, I've been playing so much on Ash Techie that I haven't played on TTS in forever. All right, I'm going to go ahead and roll.
Okay.
I got 2.
I have.
Oh, you got 2.
Pre-roll.
Yep.
All right.
2 again.
All right. I got 4. I think you got it. Or no, I got it rather. You got the better dice.
So do you want to go first or second?
Probably start.
Start. Okay. Sounds good.
And I kind of see the secondary plan of like making a really big steadfast guardian, but I'm not sure if that's this deck's strategy.
You're pretty much all in on Holy Knight with that deck. just so you know.
Okay.
I played it one time and I did win. And I did all 20 damage with Holy Knight. It was like 3 swings.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't know. Again, these decks are kind of untested, so that's part of the series I'm working on here.
Well, I definitely want to meditate at least once.
Okay.
Probably twice. There. Oh, good.
That's why you have Polarity Mage.
Yeah. All right, that's a meditate. All right, I'm just gonna play out the Holy Knight.
Cool. Okay. I'm gonna kick things off with Summon Fallen. And side action, I'll go ahead and put down this Chant of Revenge as well.
There's a lot of main actions that I grabbed here. I'm looking at everything. Not seeing like anything I can do as a side action other than activate the hypnotize, but that's just for round 1.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there are a lot of sides in that deck, actually. Test this token out. Escape.
And a Steadfast Guardian book. Pass the side action.
Okay. Let's go ahead. Go ahead and play Master Vampire.
So if you want to hit my Holy Knight, you're going to hit the Holy
Have to find
Knight.
something else to do there. And then I don't think I have a side here.
Well, you could sacrifice the vampire.
Yeah,
Let's get down
I
the Holy
think yeah,
Relics
that's
here.
that's your play for sure. Keep that knight alive.
How do you put something on top? What's the button for that?
You put hover over the card you want to put down, and then hit you.
Oh, under.
There you go.
You for under.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right, 5/5
Thank
Holy
you.
Knight. So, yeah, actually,
That or charm.
can't actually do anything about that. I don't think. I have to decide right now whether or not I want to try to kill your Holy Knight, or if I should want to try to like race you. I don't think I can. I don't know. It's an interesting decision to make. I think for now I'll just wait to decide. I'll put this down, Salamander Monk, and that's it for me.
That Fast Guardian isn't going to work the way I want it to.
Not against the Master Vampire.
And so I think I'll play that.
Okay.
I'll meditate once more.
Okay.
There's the shepherd. Snake.
Sounds good. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a Salamander Monk. Oop, that's the wrong one. The living Salamander Monk. There we go.
That still gets to bring the ghost in.
Yep.
No. Oh. What if I like go back and just use my side action to meditate once more?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Get me just meditating away in my deck.
Yeah.
All right.
That's one thing I might have to look at for this deck is dice fixing, but
Not necessarily, but
I
I see what
I
you mean.
really don't like including dice fixing.
Yeah, because it costs a card, but
yeah.
a card is nowhere near the same cost as it is in decks that you or in games you only drop one card a turn or 2 cards.
Yeah. I'm gonna meditate as well. Oh no, not that.
And you don't have the charm die.
No. Okay. Well, that wasn't really what I was looking for. I'm gonna risk it. Okay. And then I'm gonna. Oh man. Do I want to kill your Steadfast Guardian? Yeah. No. I'll attack your. Oh gosh, this is kind of awkward actually. Maybe I should try to kill the Holy Knight. But now that you have this out, I actually will have a hard time. I'll attack your Steadfast Guardian.
I'm not going to guard the
Right.
Echo, so yeah, I'll counter.
Okay. And
Would you like to
exhausted.
remove damage from your Phoenix?
Yeah, that's part of the Phoenix. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I was like, oh man, losing value.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it for me.
Split
Yeah. Okay.
it.
I'm gonna use this to draw a card. Oh, interesting. Attack Phoenix Reborn.
Sure. Take it.
Woohoo! 1 damage. I'm almost there.
Oh, wait, how does this work now?
Oh, this is your health tracker for your Phoenix Reborn if you want to do that. And these, you click left or right to go.
Oh, okay.
And
To
then
add or subtract.
yep, and then you grab the edge to put it back, or to move it. I mean,
Okay.
I think it's because it's. There we go. Okay.
Okay. All right. So you had 2 cards. I could just hit smack you for 5.
Mm-hmm. 5 damage.
Yep.
Oof. Okay.
You activated my trap card.
Yeah.
I guess I could have made it 6. This way I can something like Bringer.
Yeah. Is that your? You good? Okay. Cool.
I'm remembering how to play this game.
I will play Fire Archer that I drew.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And then no side.
I will summon Lightbringer.
All right.
I will pass.
Okay. I'm gonna attack you.
You can hit it.
Your attack your Lightbringer. I mean. Oh, you're guarding. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then that's it for me.
Attack your. Let's see. The recover on this is
Oh,
2. Not
yeah.
worth it. Okay. Yeah, I'll hit the Fire Archer.
Oh, you hit Fire Archer? Okay.
Mm.
All right. Fire Archer. Oh gosh. Dead. And I'm gonna react to that. Sweeping Widows.
Oh, there.
That's my last card.
There we are.
All right. Side action.
Charm the Sleeping Widow. I gotta stop shaking as I.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, you're up.
Okay. 3 damage.
Take it. All right.
And
I'll pass back.
yeah, and then I'll pass.
All right.
Oh wait, actually, hold
yeah.
on. There should have been a counter on chant.
Yeah.
So
And
let me.
on Fallen.
Yeah, I'll put one here, but I'll just have exhausted chant deal 1 more.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's your die back.
Thank you.
And then I'm first player.
And you get that.
Okay.
There we go.
So I'm taking 5 damage a turn. I can't really deal anything with this. So what's the game plan? I'm going to put down a second Fallen Book and a second chant.
One box has a yeah.
Yep.
Just move it off to the side.
That's me. Mm-hmm.
Thinking I want these in here.
Okay.
And don't need to meditate. Not right
Okay. I'll have Master Vampire attack your Steadfast Guardian.
Do I take 3 or do I take, or do you gain 1? I take 3. Or this dies.
Okay. So I'll take the damage. Oops. Heal 1. Oh, I guess I could have done a side, but I don't think I have any I want to do. I do want to meditate once.
Sure.
Okay.
Side action, like swordsman.
Cool.
Main action, attack 8. Oh.
Okay. Counter.
Quick strike.
Oh, duh. Wait. Yeah. Read the card. We gotta read
It's
the
the whole
card.
point of this card.
Yep.
And
so,
I don't.
Oh no, it's not an ally.
Ally control.
Not an ally.
Yeah.
You're right. Hold on. I promise I know how to play this game. What was I gonna?
I had to go over this extensively. Some sort of.
This is what I could do.
Another set of.
Yeah, I've got spiders in my spiders.
Yep.
Yo, dog, I heard you like spiders. So
Yo,
we put
dog,
spiders
like
inside of
plans.
spiders. There you go. That's what I was gonna do.
Okay, well, yeah, you got it.
Okay. This might be a good time to attack since my battlefield's full, so coming at you.
Have to trade with 1 here.
Okay.
I think 2 + 5. That's some damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, I'll take 5.
Okay.
Lightbringer. Spider. I will survive.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna side action meta.
Okay.
This to
let's go with Fire Archer. And go ahead and Brennen and get rid of this monk.
Ghost can't block, right?
Right.
For 2.
Yep.
I think I want to do.
I guess it would have been smarter to kill my ally to trigger my chance.
Well, that's why you have 2 attackers.
Yeah.
Which does make things a little awkward for me. If I summon a Lightbringer, you're gonna attack. You're probably gonna attack anyway. Try to deal 1 more damage to me. Alright, let's bring out the second Holy Knight.
Oof. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
Side action. Well, actually. Just do I need that second charm to die? Do that.
Yeah. That's pretty good. All right.
I actually want the Salamander Spirit to die.
Yeah. Okay. Side, I'll go ahead and I'll sympathy draw 1.
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds good. I know, I could force you to attack. Which I actually will do.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of annoying. Waste some main action for me.
Yeah, actually.
All right.
No side.
Cool. I'll meditate 1. And then I'll attack your Phoenix Born with this.
Do I want to block?
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay.
I will take 0. I'll just pass my main action.
Passing main. We'll go with the monk. And let's get another one of these.
Sure. All right. See this card in action.
There it is. I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is especially good here. Oh, I did. Oh, yeah, because I'm charmed still.
Yeah. So
Oh,
actually,
that's
I can
so
just
good.
remove this one.
Yep.
Move this one over here.
Yep.
That doesn't really matter because I could just actually don't want to move that. Leave that
Well,
there.
yeah, you can place
I get
one.
to place one there. Remove that one and then move this one over here.
Yep. Yikes.
And pass the side.
How much is that? 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. Draw a card. See what I get. Not what I want. Yeah, I messed up big time earlier by not using Brennen on the ally. That I should have
Because you
killed
would have
my
gotten the
Master
extra
Vampire.
chance.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think I would
But
probably just
still, my
get next
battlefield
turn.
is full. I really needed to draw something I could use to kill units with, but
Oh, right. Battlefield size
yeah,
matters a lot.
yeah, it does. Yeah, I've got nothing, so pass.
I'll hit you for 8.
Yikes. Boop. Good stuff. Chaos Gravity's a good card.
No kidding.
I can't even use my ceremony power anymore. It's hilarious.
Well, you could. There's
Although
nothing stopping you,
I'm
right?
glad I didn't though, because if I did, I would have been dead right now. So there's that.
True. Or you would have had an ally that did something else. Like you could have gotten the bomber. Or did you have another bomber? The one on top.
I'm done. I gotta pass.
Same.
Okay. There you go. I mean, I think you could just win, right? Because well, it depends on your roll, I guess.
I mean, I need to be able to hypnotise into attack.
Yeah.
And
so if you roll 2 charm, you win.
Unless you have something that can respond. Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
I will. Yeah. All right, let's reroll.
Well.
All right. Well, cool. I'll side action. I will activate my hypnotize using it on my the big holy knight, and then I will attack you with it.
You got it, man.
All right.
That's good.
That was down to the wire.
I think that oof. Yeah.
I had that golden veil. It was I really didn't want to use chaos gravity last round.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about not bringing up the lightbringer and pulling up the golden veil, but then just kind of realized that I needed to get you now.
Yeah.
If I didn't, you'd be able to pretty easily do 4 damage.
Yeah, I had a lot of burn available. I mean, and in fact, at 4, just Brennan's ability plus Final Cry is death. So,
Not
but
even
yeah,
just one side action, because then you still have your main action to do something.
Yep. So if I had killed the Master Vampire, though, that would have been 2 Chant of Revenge. But I still don't know if I would have been able to do it, just because that's 2 extra damage. But you would have had to kill something on my board, and I don't think you really did. You just kind of swung past me and neutralized things, so.
Yeah, the hypnotize definitely came in clutch there.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for playing with this one.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for sharing.
That's good.